Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Cocktail Hour. We are happy you're here. And if you're not here listening later, we're happy you're listening later.
We're just happy.
We're
Happy because we read such a happy fucking book.
Yeah, no fucking kidding. So, do we have any housekeeping issues, Miss Cheri?
I don't think so.
Okay, then let's go on to what we're drinking.
Colette, I'll go first. It's super boring. I'm having some water.
I was going to let you go last since you are super fucking boring and having water.
I'm having water.
Wow.
Colette, what you having?
I'm having a giant champagne cocktail.
Because there was champagne in the book. It was like the only thing.
In the book.
There was champagne in the book, yeah.
When people weren't just starving or eating dirt.
Ugh, God. Well, I'm having another one of those lovely. I think I got this from Aldi's ages ago. Black Cloud. It's just a red wine.
You have really become the Aldi's wine connoisseur.
It's true.
Mm-hmm. I love red wine blends. I don't know. And if you don't drink all that much, you get them for less money. Why not?
Oh, how we have changed over the years.
Isn't that the truth? I almost made an old fashioned.
Oh God, those are so good.
I know. But as my co-hosts know, I am making actual bread. I'm making baguettes. So I didn't want to get too bombed because I'm going to be around a hot oven. And
and you live alone. So I mean,
I live alone.
And you don't want anything mysterious in the cooked baguette. Like, is this a pair of scissors? No.
Some buttons.
Is this a fingernail? What the hell's going on here?
Or just like general sort of dust or lint. Oh, that's right. I dropped it.
Listen, all I can say is thank goodness whoever invented the stand mixer.
Oh, I hear you,
thank
honey.
Goodness. It comes in handy on so many different occasions. When
bread, I use it all the time for bread.
Mm-mm-mm.
But you know, if you had like a legit bread maker, and honestly, I don't know if they're even still a thing. I know they were a thing in the 90s. They were a big deal.
They still are.
They still are.
Like, so you could program them and say, all right, I want this to mix for this long, and then I just want it to sit and proof, and you didn't need to move it.
No.
That's timed the proving for you. Yep. And then you'd be like, yep, and I want... Yay for home bakers.
Yay, Carol's here. Carol refers to read the whole
thing. You didn't need to like take stuff out.
Yeah, but I don't know that much about them, but what little research I did, they all seem to have relatively the same boxy shape.
They do. So, and I had one for a long time, and that's what I made all my bread with.
Yeah.
But and I know what you're saying, but it doesn't take that much it's still essentially the same thing. You pour the ingredients in and then you let it mix up and let it sit. So, I mean, really
you're not washing extra dishes is what you're saying.
No.
No.
Although I do like using some of those kitchen gadgets, like I never had like a bowl scraper before. So I got one a few weeks ago.
It makes a difference.
It does. What else? I bought those. It's like a metal pan that's beveled so that you can cook
for the baguettes
on it.
Yeah.
I love kitchen gadgets. So I've
been
able
spoiled.
To. Yeah, man. Bring on. Well, I got to do it now because I keep threatening to retire early.
Yeah. Carol, what are you baking? Are you making cookies? And I just want to say that Carol absolutely refused to read the book.
Really?
Because it was too sad. She didn't want to read the book. So, I mean, I get it. It's fine.
Oh, I made those crack cookies the other day, too.
Cookies?
2 sheet pans. They were gone in 3 days.
What's in the crack cookies?
Crack.
I will send you the recipe. It's really cool. It's got all kinds of nuts. All kinds of nuts. And chocolate. Oh my Lord, it's so delicious.
So they're chocolate cookies.
They're like chocolate chip cookies on steroids.
So then the batter's not chocolate.
No.
Okay, good. Because I just feel like those are just wrong.
This recipe is so unique. It's one of my one of the folks I follow on YouTube there's miso paste in it.
Oh, that's right. You told me about those. So we need to change the name of the show from Cocktail Hour to Cooking Hour or Baking Hour or something.
Well, I mean, anybody who drinks a lot knows that if you don't eat,
It's true. And you gotta have the good stuff to soak up all that alcohol.
Yeah, because otherwise you're just going to end up pantsless on the roof.
That's bad.
Well, Andy does the shows pantsless anyway, so
I do.
If it's going to happen somewhere, Andy, it should be in Florida with you.
Right,
I feel like pantsless on the roof is just like thirsty there.
They pay me to go inside.
That could be a good that could be a good band name, Pantsless on the Roof.
Yeah, right.
Or an album title.
Why not?
Yeah. Carol's making coffee cake, so now I know what the answer to the hangman on Discord is.
Coffee cake.
Yum. All right. Well, let's see.
I guess we've talked about food long enough. We ought to talk about the book we read. We read The Book Thief by what the hell? Markus Zusak. Zusak? Yes. Okay. So Cheri'd been after us for quite a while to read this. It kept popping up. A couple times a year?
Probably. Yeah. I finally wore him down.
And I mean, I went in with no knowledge of what the story was about at all.
Right. Me too.
So when I got a couple chapters in, and I was like, oh, this is going to be about Nazis and fascism and the creeping fascism in a German town.
Yeah.
I don't know that I want to read this.
Yeah.
Because it feels like just turning on the news.
I know, right?
So it really took a while for me to get to a point where I wanted to listen. Because I don't think I was in the right headspace. Maybe if I'd known what it was about, then I could have prepared myself a little bit better.
Gotcha.
But Andy, I did get to a point where I wanted to see what happens to everybody, and I was invested enough in their stories. And then I was punished for that.
Why?
Did your face leak?
Because then I got to the end.
Yeah, the last chapter and the epilogue are massive. They're gut punches.
It's brutal. It's brutal, brutal. And I like, Colette, what you said on that thread on Facebook. You said soul crushing.
Soul crushing.
Because it really, really is.
Yep. Yeah.
So, Andy, so the entire month that we have, since we decided we were going to read it until today, I have been very nervous about how the two of you would respond to it. Not just because I like it so much, but because
you made that clear, right? So at the beginning, when I was like, oh, I may just have to put this aside because I don't know that I can go down Nazi Street.
Or just watch the movie for an hour and a half.
Yeah, and I don't know if I can shop at the Hitler Mart for 14 hours. Or however long the audiobook is, right?
Yeah.
And knowing that you were like, it's one of my favorite books of all time, I was like, oh, okay.
I mean, at this point, we've been doing this for so long that I have gotten to the point finally where it's all good. You know, we're not going to agree on everything, and it's okay. You know, it's fine. It's fine. I got this mug from Carol. It says, "It's fine. It's fine. Everything is fine."
That's
and it
perfect.
is
That's perfect, Carol. That is perfect.
Yes. So, So, Andy, did you struggle to finish it, or once you? But okay, good.
I did not struggle to finish it at all. In fact, I texted you guys, or we had a little text message round robin, and I said I had 5 hours left, I think it was, at one point.
Yeah.
That night, I think it was that night or the next night, I just played it all the way through. I didn't go to bed till like 1:30 in the morning. And of course, not knowing how it was going to end, I couldn't go to sleep for quite a while. I kept
Yeah.
rehashing scenes in my head because the narrator they used, I thought he did a really good job.
He really did.
Did
Yeah,
anybody feel like he sounded just like the narrator from Fractured Fairy Tales on the old Bullwinkle and Rocky show?
Yeah, maybe. Wow.
So, like,
That's
he
really taking me back.
brings you in and this soothing voice from your childhood.
Yeah.
And then somebody gets shanked.
So we should tell everybody what the book is about. Yeah.
Did you pull up a summary for it?
I didn't, but
we never do. We've been doing this for years, y'all.
I know. Well, I've got the book right here, so I can just read it.
Just read it from the jacket?
Yeah.
Okay, read it from the jacket.
It's 1939, Nazi Germany. The country is holding its breath. Death has never been busier, and it will become busier still. By her brother's graveside, Liesel Memminger finds her life changed when she picks up a single object, partially hidden in the snow. It is the Gravedigger's Handbook, left there by accident, and it is her first act of book thievery. So begins a love affair with books and words as Liesel, with the help of her accordion-playing foster father, learns to read. Soon she is stealing books from Nazi book burnings, the mayor's wife's library, and wherever there are books to be found. But these are dangerous times. When Liesel's foster family hides a Jewish man in their basement, Liesel's world is both opened up and closed down. In superbly crafted writing that burns with intensity, award-winning author Markus Zusak has given us one of the most enduring stories of our time.
That was a good summary.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, if we read a summary and it talks about intensity or moving or whatever, we're like, bullshit.
Yeah, I'll be the judge of that.
Yeah, but this one really did. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think the prose, I thought, for the most part, was beautiful and different. Normally the repetition of descriptors having to do with eyes or hair tend to be, I tend to find them really irritating.
Are you thinking of Susan Maher?
No. I was just thinking of loads of people.
I had to throw that out there.
Yeah.
Maybe me. She may be thinking of me.
Oh, I can't think of anybody off the top of my head, but that is like one of my main things. Word repetition in general is
like somebody needs to buy a thesaurus and
or just cut out the extra shit.
Damn.
I mean, and this is not a short book.
No, it's 550 pages.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we 15 or 18 hours. How long was it? Because I think we all listened to it.
I listened to the last half. I read the first half, and then I was running out of eyeball time. I already deleted it.
15 or 16, maybe.
Yeah,
hours.
it was long.
It was long. It was long.
Yeah.
So the book starts out with Liesel and her brother Werner and her mom on a train, and they're coming in. They're relocating, but the brother dies
on the train trip.
He dies on the train trip, and they have to bury him. And like the blurb said, one of the gravediggers drops the book. She picks it up. She does not know how to read at all at this point.
She's like what, 10 or so?
She's 10. Yeah, I think.
And her brother was younger.
Yeah, I think he was 5 or 6. They said because he was going to be 6 forever.
Yeah, so it sounded like maybe he had tuberculosis or
something like that.
Yeah.
So
disease. Are we gonna be spoilery?
I think
it's been out a while.
It's been out a really long time.
It's been out long enough for them to make a movie of it.
Yeah, I watched the movie again last night, which is not. So we're watching the movie, and I look over at TJ, and she's just sobbing, and I'm like, I didn't think you'd be crying. I said, nothing sad has happened yet. And she's like, oh, Jesus.
At what,
I can
point in the
that.
story was she already sobbing?
She was like halfway. And, I think, she, Max was there, and I don't know. I mean, I was just sitting there like, and
like, yeah,
whoa,
this is the uplifting part of
it. This is the happy part.
Right.
Oh, fuck.
I've got it on my list on HBO Max to watch. I just haven't done it yet.
Well, before I got to the very end, I was, at the point where I really started to enjoy the characters and I was vested in what happens to Max. And I was like, oh, this is a movie. Okay, well, it's on HBO Max. Well, I'll probably watch it after I finish this. And then I got to the end and I was like, nope. I'm not going to watch this.
The movie's a lot different, actually.
Well, I mean, it would kind of need to be, right? Because you're talking about distilling something that's very lengthy and involved and follows Liesel from the age of 10 to what,
14.
15 or so?
16.
Oh, actually, I guess it would be 15 or 16.
It was 16. I think they made a reference to it.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot in this book.
Yeah. 6 years worth of living.
So, I mean, to distill that down, it's probably best.
That might be a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they would have to cut a bunch of stuff out.
Yeah. But I mean, like the timing and stuff is. Yeah.
I would equate the end of this book to, like, did either of you watch 6 Feet Under?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't get to the end of that.
Yeah. No. The very last episode of the series was, to me, very.
I actually didn't watch the last. I think I watched the first 2 or 3 seasons, and that was it.
Okay, so let's go back a little bit. Okay, so after Liesel's brother dies, they continue on their journey, and what's happening is Liesel's mom she was giving the children up to protect them. We find out a little bit later that her mom was very, very likely a communist. And as we know, communists and Jews, big no-nos. And the gays. And gypsies. And the gypsies. And various, and just everybody.
Yeah, educators and artists and anybody.
Not everybody.
Yeah.
So
they end up going to Molking, which is the small, I guess, smallish town in Germany, on Himmel Street, which translates to Heaven Street. And there Liesel finds herself being placed with the Hubermans. Rosa and Hans. And
so she's a piece of work.
She, okay, so Colette was talking about what a soul-crushing book this was, but for me, that's just such a small part of it. It's it is tough. It is tough, but it's also, I think it gives us the insight into, first of all, what it was like for just your average run-of-the-mill German who didn't believe in the Nazi party, didn't want to be a part of it, and how they had to kind of try to balance doing what they could with staying alive.
Yeah.
And it also, I mean, there were no inappropriate relationships, which was fantastic.
It was because fresh air there.
Yeah, right.
Agreed.
Because
nobody got molested. That was
nobody
nice.
got molested, and that is, I mean, for me to continually think of that as, Hans. They're talking about Hans sitting up on her, sitting up with her, sleeping with her, taking her to the bathroom, just being there with her. And then Max sleeping in her room. I mean, the hair on the back of my neck stands up whenever anything like that is ever talked about. and that we didn't have to think of it. It wasn't something that needed to be
Nope.
worried about.
No.
So we've
Wasn't
got
Hans in it? Didn't he sleep in the chair next to her bed? Isn't that what I
yeah.
remember listening to?
He did, but I think he also had quite a bit of cuddle time in bed with her, comforting her.
Yeah.
Liesel, when she first got there and was placed, the first time she meets the Hubermans, Rosa is Mama is she, you know, she's
She's
screaming at the
Zalmensch.
neighbors, Zalmensch, and she's screaming at the neighbors, what are you assholes looking at? You know,
She was peppery.
she was.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I personally kind of like that.
I did too. And it turns out that she really, I mean, she loved Liesel very much.
Yeah.
And I think we really start seeing her tenderness when Max shows up. So Liesel shows up. She's 10 years old. She's taken in by the Hubermans. She's never had a dad. So this is already something different. And Hans is the father I wish we all had.
He was a decent man.
He was a good man. He did whatever he could to help people.
Mm-hmm.
He was modest. He was caring. He was loving. He was honest. And so
his word was his bond too.
Exactly.
That's something that you don't hear or see much anymore.
Yeah, and that plays such a huge role in this book. Mm-hmm. So Rosa is notorious for cursing people out and fighting with the neighbors and just being
on her door every day.
Yeah, just generally being an awful person. Hans is like her polar opposite, but they make it work. And Liesel is now a part of this family, and it works. You know, it really works. There's a lot of humor in this book. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of love.
We haven't mentioned that the entire book is from the POV of Death.
Yes. Death is the narrator, and he goes on
to a lot right there.
Right. So he goes on to tell us about. He's telling the tale. He says that he's very rarely intrigued by humans enough to really pay attention to their stories, but the book thief caught him and just wouldn't let go. So we get to learn a lot about Hans, how he comes to have a Jew live in his house during World War I. He was friends with I can't remember his name, the father, Eric Vandenberg.
Oh wow!
And Eric Vandenberg played the accordion, and they got to be good friends. And there was an assignment, and one person got to stay back, and Eric kind of made sure that it was Hans, and then his whole unit died. And Hans always felt in his debt. When he got out of the war, he went to see Eric's wife, and they had a 1.5-year-old son named Max. And Hans said, "I don't have anything, but I'm a house painter. I can paint anything that you want for free. Anytime if you ever need anything, I promise you I will be there." So when World War II really ramps up, it was kind of before it turned into a world war, but when the Nazi regime really ramped up, I think it was Kristallnacht when one of Max's
in the book, right? Yeah.
So when that happens, one of Max's friends, who is a Nazi soldier, comes and says, and his whole family is there. And he says, I can take one of you, one or none. And Max is like, I'm not going anywhere. And his mom says, yeah, you are. Take the slip of paper and it had Hans's address on it. And that's how Max ends up on 33 Himmelstrasse, and changes everybody's show.
Yeah.
And then you've got Rudy, who is Liesel's best friend,
little blonde kid that always asks her for a kiss.
Yeah, and who is obsessed with Jesse Owens, to the point that he covered himself head to toe in charcoal and went out to the track and ran around. And he and Liesel got up to a lot of shit. Like they were some thieving people, and that didn't make it into the movie at all. Yeah, and neither. There's a lot of stuff that I felt really important that didn't make it into the movie.
That's a shame. That's a shame.
I mean, it was still fine if you don't read the book.
The book is like a space capsule in time, really, about this period in German history. Mm-hmm. And I think that for me, even though there was a lot of anxiety on what is going to happen next, because you're waiting for the Jewish guy in the basement to be found out, right? And you're expecting the worst, which is pretty bad at the end, but it kind of moves in different directions and different circles, and you meet different people, and
yeah, it's definitely not predictable.
No, it's not, but it's still rewarding, because they're not cutouts. These characters are not just two-dimensional. I mean, they're just all interesting in their own way. And sometimes you get so very frustrated with some of the things that they do or don't do, like in the case of marching the Jews through the town. Like, you're like, you want the whole town to go, this isn't right. And, like you take the guards out or something. But, they're human beings, and we have in us innately self-preservation. And so the author really shows in some of these characters how it just is so gut-wrenching, and soul-crushing that they can't do anything to stem this tide.
Yeah.
But some of them don't want to.
Yeah, some of them don't.
Right.
Some of them
right.
don't.
I mean, it really does sort of depict the road to straight-up fascism.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Right, because you've got Hans Jr., who is a very dedicated Nazi, and is angry with his father for not loving Hitler more, not wanting to give Adolf a big old hug and a kiss on the mouth. And, when Hans Sr. is trying to help one struggling Jew being marched in what they call a parade on his way to Dachau, trying to toss bread to him, he's got neighbors who start to spit on him.
Yeah, and he gets whipped by the guards or whoever the hell they are. Yeah, it's just.
Apparently, they lived right down the road from the concentration camp.
Yeah, they kept talking about Dachau, and they would have. Yeah, and so that was something, and so after money is tight, it keeps getting worse, and Liesel's mama, Rosa, also takes in laundry. So I think I'm having problems with my connection. So if I start breaking up, let me know.
Okay.
So she takes in laundry, and as things get worse, she starts losing her customers. And the last customer that she has is the mayor and his wife. And once Max shows up, she just has Liesel do the delivery. And Rudy goes along with her, and the the first time she goes there by herself is, so they have a book burning, a good old fashioned book burning for Adolf Hitler's birthday. And
what a way to celebrate.
Yeah. And so Liesel steals a book from the fire, and she grabs it and she puts it in her coat. And I love how it's described because it's still smoldering, right? So she's got smoke coming out of her coat, but she's seen. And she's seen by the mayor's wife. And so she becomes very nervous when she has to go drop off the laundry, and she's just kind of waiting to see what happens. And the mayor's wife invites her into her huge library with 1,000 books, and goes on to tell her about her son who's died, who she believes that he's froze to death I believe in Russia, and Liesel eventually becomes really fed up with the wife's with Ilse Hermann's inability to let go of her son's death.
She walks around in a bathrobe all the time. That's what I keep remembering.
Yeah. It's fiction. It's not based on a true story.
But it's not just a bathrobe. It has swastika.
It has a swastika on it, and her socks have swastikas.
Yeah, her slippers have swastikas on them.
So,
being the mayor's wife, you can see why.
Exactly. I mean, we really don't get into her politics at all. Mm-hmm. But what we do get into with her is that she feels this incredible closeness with Liesel. And so every time she comes to drop off the laundry, she'll go into the library and pull out some books and read a few pages from 2 or 3 different books, and then she goes on her way. Until one instance where she just fucking let loose on the wife, and she's like, "You're fucking pathetic, and get over it. You're not the only one who's lost somebody. And get dressed."
And why she went off is because that was the only job left to bring them in a little money to be able
That's
to
right.
eat.
That's right.
Liesel was dreading going back and telling Mama that there was no more work coming from the mayor's office. And the mayor, he decided to divest himself of the help because, it kind of went against the party principles.
Everybody had to cut back.
Everybody had to cut back. So Liesel, she just let go.
I forgot that was the
Then
thing.
she went back and told her mother, she's like, "Yeah, I'm the reason."
Yeah.
Right? It was I told her she was a miserable, pathetic piece of shit, and that's why she doesn't want you to do laundry anymore. So you need to beat me.
Yeah. But then Rosa wouldn't.
Right.
She didn't believe it.
No.
So then what happens is Liesel's missing the books, right? There's this book that she didn't get to finish, and she's really upset about that. So she decides she's going to break into the house. And
because at this point, right by now, she and Rudy have already been stealing things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
They're out stealing potatoes and apples.
And
yeah.
Because
Rudy is fucking starving to death. He's
hungry.
He's one of 6 or 7 kids. He's always hungry. So they're out. And Rosa she makes, apparently they have pea soup 3 meals a day, every fucking day. And so
that's why I got a taste for pea soup. I made pea soup yesterday. I'm like, I haven't made this in forever. What? And now it occurred to me, as you said it.
Yeah.
It's been in my subconscious. Wow.
So Liesel and Rudy had gone off and stole apples, and they had like a dozen apples between them, and they're just eating all these apples. But they couldn't share them with the family because then everybody would know they were stealing. So They had to eat them all. So she goes home and she has dinner, and she She eats the
Throws up.
soup and then she throws it up. And then later, Max is eating the soup after he wakes up from, oh no, he had just gotten there. So, he hadn't eaten in a long time, and he's chowing down on this pea soup. And Mama says, well, at least somebody appreciates my cooking. And then Max throws up because he's not used to eating. So, I mean, it's just, there is a lot of humor.
There's a little humor sprinkled in and out of this
Exactly,
story. That's
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think so. Okay,
And
so
there's
then
nothing better, by the way, and I'm sure lots of people know this. There is nothing better than actually picking an apple from the tree and eating it. I mean,
It's true.
directly from the tree. It's
So
not
good.
anything like you get at the grocery store.
I've never done that.
Really, I bet you would really like it.
Girl,
it's
you have
good.
not lived.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there's apple trees here, but I don't think that Virginia is a big apple state.
Oh, maybe
I
not.
did this in upstate New York. Oh, Lord,
We have
mercy.
orchards
I
all
think
over. We
it's-
go apple picking.
Yeah, it's mostly northern states, right? Like Oregon and
Mostly.
Washington and
Yeah.
New England.
You could
Yeah.
go pick some tobacco or something, probably. That could be fun.
Num num num.
Send it my way.
So, one of the wonderful things about this book that you don't get with the audio, and this is why I decided to read it with my eyeballs, and I kept sending pictures.
Oh, yeah. Pictures. Stick figures like that I draw.
Yeah. So, when Max left, he was given, when he headed out on his journey to find the Huberman house, because he had been kind of hiding in warehouses and hiding in different places while his friend Walter made all the connections with Hans and got things rolling. So when Walter came back and things were lined up, he handed Max a copy of Mein Kampf. There was a map, or he had already gotten a map that he memorized. There was a key to the front door.
Mm-hmm.
So when Max shows up, he opens the door and he asks Hans, "Do you still play the accordion?" And then everything, then he kind of gets incorporated into the family, and he really was. But so Max comes.
Let me ask you something. Did you expect Rosa to flip out when Max showed up? What was your initial? I mean, I know you've read this a couple of times.
I didn't remember a lot of it.
Oh, okay. So did you anticipate Rosa to have some like vehement disagreement? Like, we can't do this?
Yeah, I did initially. And, but she didn't. She was immediately like, cool, let's get this boy something to eat, because he's exhausted and he's starving and he's freezing. And in the movie, there's one point in the movie where she says, we should turn him in tomorrow. They'll understand. And it was because she was.
But that wasn't in the book, was it? No. Did I miss something?
No, there's a lot of stuff that's not that.
Oh, that's crap.
It really kind of goes.
That defames Rosa. Come on now.
They didn't make Rosa nearly as awesome
as peppery.
She did. Yeah, they made her a lot softer for the most part. But anyway, so Max has a copy of Mein Kampf, and what he ends up doing is pulling out some of the pages and painting them white, waiting till they dry, and then he made Liesel a little booklet. And one of the wonderful, so it's got these drawings in there, but the really cool part is that, I don't know if you can see it, but especially on this page, you can see the print underneath from Mein Kampf bleeding through.
Yeah, I couldn't see that much detail.
Yeah, here you can see it better on that. So that's not just the paperback. That is actually parts of Mein Kampf coming through.
Have either one of you read Mein Kampf?
No.
No.
I'm just curious. I haven't either. I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna pass.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like we live it right now.
yeah, we'll just save that for Trump and all the other would-be
This
fascists.
nationalism. Ugh, okay.
Yeah, so so that was there are just so many little things in this book that just kind of melt you a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. I think that is one of the amazing things about this writer. You know, he did. You know, obviously, I wasn't in the presence of him when he's writing it, but it seems to me that little slices of humanity that peek through this story, all through this story, really culminates and hits you in the gut at the end, right?
Yeah.
Because you have grown to really understand these people, you know, with all their strengths and their weaknesses as just human beings trying to survive. So at the end, you're like, holy shit, you know, it's you know, to know that if these folks were real in the blink of an eye, they're gone.
Yeah.
It's just, I got to tell you, I was afraid to actually, I wanted to back the story up on audio and listen to it again, but I didn't think I'd get through it a second time. I mean, just in that last chapter.
Yeah. I just had tears roll in. I went upstairs and laid down and just listened to that last chapter and the epilogue, and I was just like, so they end up, so once the war gets moving, they start having bombing raids and mulking on, and so this is another big plot point, right? So they start having they had to have somebody. They had Nazis come into everybody's home to see if their basement was deep enough to be a bomb shelter.
Yeah.
So Liesel
and Max is still in that.
Right. Max is living in the basement under the stairs, got some
Right.
drop cloths hanging down, some paint cans.
He's about this big around, y'all. So
Right. He's not been well.
No.
He's just recovering from being really sick and almost dying. Can we talk about, so Max had been unconscious for like 8 days, a week. I don't remember how long. It was a long time.
It was a while.
He was really sick, and Liesel was terrified that he was going to die because they really developed a tight bond. And Liesel wanted to make sure that she was there when he woke up. So she told Rosa, just wherever I am, just come out and start screaming and yelling at me. Everybody will believe it. Just drag me home. And so she shows up at school, and Halls just shows up at school, stands in the doorway and says, where's my hairbrush? Salmensch, get over here, you pig. And she's cursing her out, and she gets closer, and she said Max is awake. And it was just such a great scene. And
now, was that in the movie?
It was, but it was handled a little differently. She did.
I'm not watching that movie. I'm not watching it. I'm
That's
taking
how
it
I
out
felt.
of my list. I'm not watching.
Yeah, as soon as I finished reading the book the first time, I bought the movie. I watched it, and I was really disappointed because it wasn't the same.
For good reason.
Yeah, but I think if you haven't read the book, I think the movie would be fine. Obviously, because TJ was bawling her eye.
So if I would have cheated and watched the movie and said "fuck this 15-hour book,"
you would have lost out
a lot.
You would have. You would have missed
been like all of those high school students who watched the Scarlet Letter movie with Demi Moore with the happy ending or whatever.
Yeah. So during these the Nazis are coming and they're going in the basement. Liesel's out playing soccer with the guys, and she sees them coming and is like, oh fuck, I got to get in the house without raising suspicion. Mm-hmm. So she takes a header she sacrifices her body to create an issue where she had to go home.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So she gets home and she's like, the Nazis are coming. They're going in the basement. And usually Rosa is the one who handles shit in a crisis. But this time Hans is like, fuck it. He's fine. We're just going to ride this shit out. So the Nazi comes in, goes down in the basement, comes back up, says, it's too shallow, and heads on out.
Yeah.
They didn't, in the movie, they just said they were searching basements and came in. It was bullshit. But so Max at that point decides that he's got to go.
Yeah, he doesn't want to put the family in danger.
Yeah. Oh no, it was after Hans. So Max decided that Max would just have to stay when they have air raids, and the family would go to somebody else's house at the designated spot. Then, as the Jews are walking through, and Hans tries to, gives this dude, gives a Jew some bread, and they take his name, and then Hans is like, "Oh fuck, what have I done? What have I done? I put us all in danger. They're going to come for me. They're going to find Max in the basement." And then Max decides, I can't put you guys in that kind of danger. So Max leaves.
Yeah, Hans couldn't lose his humanity. And I really like that about Hans.
Yeah. He's just he was just such a good person.
But he was still forced to go off and fight for the Nazis.
Right.
Yes, he was forced.
Yeah, so that was his punishment.
Yeah, for trying to help another creature in suffering. Yeah. He gets punished. And so, he gets sent out. I forget where it was. They tell you in the story. But yeah, he gets to go out. What was his mission? To pull people out of the rubble, or... Which is really ironic. So he was pulling people out of the rubble. And then on a few doors down, or next door, Rudy had been, because Rudy is a good athlete, he was a good student. The Nazis came and tried to get his parents to agree to send him to this elite training school. And he's 14 years old, and his dad's like, not going to happen. Not my kid. So, but isn't Rudy still involved in, what was that? Though they had to be the Hitler route. The Hitler Youth, right? It was mandatory. They had no choice. Man, and Rudy gets for days. That kid. Yeah, Rudy is a scrapper, boy. He will fight anybody. But then so is Liesel. Liesel beat the shit out of people. She didn't care. Yeah. So Rudy's dad ends up getting sent off to the war also. But Hans gets sent back because he ends up with a broken leg because of an accident, and that's a whole nother thing.
Once again, everybody in his group dies.
Gets right,
except for him.
Yep. So he gets sent back. He gets sent home, and the day that he's coming home, Liesel sees Max in the group of Jews being marched. And she ends up getting smacked around pretty good. Whipped. She gets whipped. Yeah, but we know that Max is still alive because he had been gone all this time, and he just kind of headed out. He got wrangled in the Jew roundup, and he was being marched to Dachau through this parade. And Liesel has been, ever since Max left, Liesel's been watching these parades, looking for him, and she's trying to remind herself, what is it? Hair is straw. She's trying to remember what he looks like. He has twigs when his hair is dirty, feathers when his hair is clean. Right. Yeah. So when she finally does see him, she doesn't give a flying rat's ass what's going on around her. All she wants to do is get to Max, and she shows the humanity that nobody else, to the extent that's around them, is showing, that she doesn't give a crap if he's Jewish. He's a human being. He is her friend. And she doesn't, my impression was she was trying to, in some way, either kind of console him or figure out a way to get him out of this mess. And so she basically won't let go of him. And so the guards see this going on,
they start beating Max, and then they beat Liesel, and it's just you're just sitting there going, "Fuck," because there's got to be a ring of truth in this as to what has happened to folks in Germany during this time period, and it just tears you up because you're thinking, "Fucking A," It's like, these are human beings. Why are you doing? These are human, even if you don't agree with their religion, their political affiliate, whatever the hell, they're still human beings,
Yeah. It was that it's tough. And at that point, Liesel had told Rudy about Max. And she had done such a great job of not telling anybody at all.
She was good.
And that was like the one time that Hans got tough with her. It's like, I'm going to take every one of your fucking books and get rid of them, and then they'll take me and Mama away. And Liesel's like,
that was his warning to Liesel.
Yeah.
That if she told about Max in the basement, these things are going to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Because she's 12 years old at that point, right?
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
And so at this point we know that Max is alive. And then Liesel, that's the same day that Hans is coming home. So she goes down to the train station and is just sitting there for hours and hours. And Rudy stayed for a little bit, and then Rosa came. Mama came. At this point, Mama's a big fucking softie.
She is. She's got a crusty exterior, but she's all soft and gushy on the inside.
She really is. She loves her family, and even though Liesel, wasn't theirs by birth, and they had 2 other kids, it didn't matter. Liesel could have been.
What was the deal with the daughter? I don't remember her name.
Trudy, I think it was.
What's the deal with her? Why was she so estranged? I think she shows up like once.
I think they both came for Christmas that one time, and then I think she came one more time.
Yeah, but she was such a non-event.
She plays such a small role in the story.
Yeah.
And you don't ever really get a sense of what's up with that.
Yeah. I don't know. That's true.
Yeah, she was kind of a throwaway. You're right. I mean, the neighbors had much bigger roles.
Yeah, especially Miss Spit on the door.
Yeah, the chick who was spitting on their door every day ends up having a much larger.
Yes, that really
going over every day to read to her.
Yeah. Yeah. So the background to this is, y'all, the woman that kept spitting on the door and Lisa would have to go out and clean it is a daily event. During one of these bomb raids, people were in these basements, and Liesel decided to read a story from one of the books, and apparently the neighbor, who I can't remember her name, but the one that was
Holtzapfel.
What was it?
Holtzapfel.
So, she went to the house where Rosa was, and they had a little bit of a salty exchange. And the idea was, look, I'll trade coffee or whatever the hell else, so that Liesel comes over and reads a chapter of this story every day because she wanted to know how it ends. She was very intrigued. So
she's such a bitch.
I did not expect that in 100 years. That completely threw me. And I got to tell you, I probably had the grin like a Cheshire cat when I heard that. I was like, see, some people have these crusty exteriors because they're protecting themselves from whatever, right? And it's hard sometimes to see beyond that.
And then some people are just fucking Nazis.
Well, exactly.
True.
Yeah.
Like Hans Jr.
And what the fuck, man?
I don't know. I missed something. I was laughing. What happened?
Huh?
I
said like Hans Jr.
Hans Jr. is just a piece of shit.
Yeah, both of their kids seemed kind of shitty, right? And I guess that's why I had the question about Trudy, because she doesn't necessarily come off as a Nazi the way that Hans Jr. does, and then of course he goes off to.
He was in Russia too, wasn't he? because the Mrs. Holtz-Appel's son Michael saw him there. So he was in Russia and assumed that he was alive, but we don't really know. So we're running out of time. So
shoot, it's been fun. What?
And there's so many more damaged people to talk about.
I know. So Max. So she sees Max. She goes and meets Papa at the train. Life kind of goes back to normal for a little bit. Papa ends up getting some jobs, exchanging his work for some champagne, taking Liesl along, and then the bombings continue. Liesl continues stealing stuff, and then one night, some bombs are dropped, and they're not supposed to be. It's a miscalculation, and the whole street is leveled, and everybody dies except for Liesl, who
because she was in the basement.
She fell asleep in the basement writing.
Yep.
She had, there's some stuff with the mayor's wife. So the mayor's wife leaves a thesaurus.
Abbreviate the mayor's wife to say she makes it. There's a interaction between Liesl and the mayor's wife, and then so I think that was why they put the mayor's wife in there, the author, because she plays a bigger role at the very end.
Yeah.
Right. So
the mayor's wife, she leaves her usually her window was open, the window to the library was open, and she'd leave it open, and Liesl would come in, grab a book one at a time, grab a book, and then leave.
Yeah.
And one day her and Rudy went to break in, and the window was closed, but leaning up against it was a dictionary and a thesaurus. And so she opened up the window, grabbed it, put the window back down, and inside there was a letter from the mayor's wife saying, I know that you're breaking into my house and stealing my books, and it's fine.
And it's cool.
It's totally cool, but maybe next time you could use the door and be a bit more civilized about it.
And have these stale cookies while you're at it.
And right. So, I mean, the wife, she really, I think she part of it is, she sees her son in Liesl with the love of reading. She's lonely. She's never hear about them there.
Loop of hell.
Yeah, exactly. And she even starts out her letter to Liesl with, "I know you think I'm pathetic." And
because she told her so. I mean,
yeah. So she shows up. Doesn't she show up at the Huberman house with that blank book? She gives Liesl a book of blank pages.
Yeah, and tells her to write her own story.
Right.
Story, yeah.
And so that's what she was doing in the basement the night that the bombing happened. So Liesl is discovered in the rubble by the same type of organization, the same type of unit that Hans had been in, digging people up out of the rubble.
Well, so that's the point that I was making about 6 Feet Under, right? So you guys watched any of the beginning of it, even if you didn't see the last episode, right? Basically, that show starts with somebody dying.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can see it from a mile away, like, oh, we rented this limo, let's pop out the sunroof, and then someone gets decapitated, and then everything fades to white, and it gives you the name of the dead person, right? So the very last episode of that series, everybody dies.
Oh my God.
In this musical sort of collage where you go through every family member in order and you see exactly how they die.
Holy shit, I had no idea.
Some of them at least.
Even that insufferable daughter, what the hell was her name?
Claire? You didn't like Claire?
No.
Come on, Claire was awesome.
No.
Claire was irritating when I quit watching. She was pining after that dude.
She is why I quit watching.
You mean Brenda's brother?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I can't speak to any of that. None of that made any sense.
Yeah, Brenda
Yeah.
was nuts. She was like granola. That chick was
And then
crazy.
she got like super weird. She got super weird, like
She was weird from day
fucking
one.
random strangers in
Ugh.
groups. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I watched the whole thing, and then the very last episode was just like 6.5 minutes of crying.
Holy
While
shit.
you got to see each of them die.
Did
Was
they
it
die
all-
young, or did they
was it all
die? Did
Some
they?
of them,
Was
some
it
of
all
them
within the
did,
same
and
period? Time period? Was it all within the same time period?
no, it was
Oh.
basically, and it was presented in the order in which they all died. So if somebody died young, you would see them die young early on in the
Okay.
collage of people. And then I think Claire was the last one to die, and it was like, far in the future.
I might have to restart that series
Hell
and
no.
watch it. I'm always looking for something good to watch.
I can't take Claire.
Okay, so back to Himmelstrasse.
Yes.
Okay. So they pull Liesel out, and she's got her book. It's called The Book Thief, and she ends up dropping it, and
Well,
it gets tossed into.
Because not only does she see Rudy's dead body,
Yes.
but then she sees her foster parents' dead body.
Yeah,
And
that is
everything on the
just
street is destroyed, so she has no idea where to go or what to do.
right. So the rubble guys toss her book, and Death picks it up, and so then Liesel goes to the police station because she doesn't know what the hell to do. And so she's there at the police station for about 3 hours, and then the mayor's wife shows up. And she's like, I heard there was a girl who's still alive. And Liesel goes to live with the mayor's wife.
In the library.
In the library. Then, flash forward 2 years. Rudy's dad comes back from the war, and he's lost his whole family. Rudy, his mom, all of his siblings. So he's got, I think his name is Andy. He's got nothing at all, except for his tailor shop. Or he reopens his tailor shop. I don't remember if it got destroyed or not. But and Liesel goes and is working with him in the back. And somebody comes in one day and says, do you know Liesel Meminger? And he's like, yeah, she's right in the back. And she comes out, or he goes back, I forget, but it's Max, the one person who you would expect to have died.
Yeah.
Doesn't. And
That was bittersweet.
yeah. What did you just send?
The final scene.
Oh, the final scene. Okay.
Oh my God, you're killing me, Colette.
Well, so you don't have to watch, all the stuff that you've already given up on. So the thing that I thought was interesting was really like just how random and capricious people's deaths were, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because some people died when you least expected. Some people died when, like I think we all saw Hans. I guess he was in Leningrad.
Hans Jr.
Oh, is that where
right?
he was?
Hans Jr.
Yeah.
When
Oh,
he died,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
But the Hans Sr. seemed to completely escape death. And then you expect Max to die. And then the only other dude in the book who lives is the guy from the concentration camp.
Right.
I mean, I don't know.
And one of the things that I thought was interesting in the way that the author handled this is, right away that Rudy's going to die because he tells you. He tells you, and he doesn't. And death tells you right away. I don't go in for that mystery stuff or the suspense. I'm just going to tell you.
Did you block it out though? Initially, didn't he say initially in the book about him? When did that happen in the story?
I think he mentions it a couple of. You mean about Rudy in particular?
Right.
It a couple of times.
Yeah,
he says something like,
Was it the
Yeah.
beginning?
Well, maybe in the first half for
Yeah.
sure.
I completely blanked when he was talking about who was going to die or whatever. I completely blanked it out. So
I mean, he would just drop things like, and of course, Rudy would be dead in under 2 months. Right?
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like they would
Yeah.
just drop it in there and it'd be like,
Yeah.
oh.
Like,
But
would
you
he-
wouldn't have any details and you
Yeah.
weren't exactly sure.
Yeah.
And you knew
Yeah.
that the Nazi party were interested in him.
Yeah.
So it could have been a lot of things.
It could have been a lot of
And
things.
then he's also pissed off the local gang leader who was stealing.
Yeah,
Right? It could have been a lot of things, right?
Right. You didn't
So
know how it
death
was going to get.
leaves it just mysterious enough so that you know it's coming, but you don't know how he's going to die.
Yeah.
It was still a gut punch. And
you're right. It's still a gut punch.
to have everybody, like all of her people, and her thing is, don't leave me. Don't leave me. Don't leave me. Don't leave me. You're going to leave me. Don't leave me. She's got serious abandonment issues. And then boom.
Understandably.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, her mom, she never heard from her mom again. She wrote her mom letters. She never heard from her mom again. Nobody even knew where her mom was anymore, if her mom was even alive. She lost her brother. That was huge for her. That was a huge thing for her.
Yeah.
And then she lost Max. And the only person she loved Mama.
She did.
But
she loved
Papa
Hans
was her world.
Hans was her world with his silver eyes. He was her world. Yeah.
So did you both cry? Did your
No.
faces leak?
Mm-mm.
You didn't cry, you heartless woman.
Wow.
That would be me. Yeah. No, not even a hitch in my throat. No.
Okay.
Wow.
You're dead inside.
I've heard that before, actually.
Really?
Yeah, from us many times.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, I mean, I kind of suspected it was coming, so maybe subconsciously I kind of put up a little bit of a wall.
Mm.
I thought it was. I thought Lisa was going to go quickly, but the epilogue disabused me of that notion.
Yep.
Because apparently she moved to Sydney. She had her own family. She had her grandkids, and in her ripe old age, death came for her and gave her back the book.
I love
thief.
that. And so he gives her back the book, and she says, "Did you read it?" And he says, "Many times."
Yeah.
And she said, "Did you understand it?" And then he goes on to talk about the final line of the book is, "I'm haunted by humans."
Yeah, that was good. That was good. I got to tell you, I was very impressed by this author and his word craft, and I'm going to have to look to see if he's written anything else.
Yeah, he has. He's read. I picked up his next book after that. I think he's written several. I Am the Messenger, which I still haven't read, but. Yeah, when I got done with this the first time, I was like, I got to go find more from this guy. He's an Australian or New Zealand.
Oh, no wonder she ends up in
Yeah,
Sydney.
yeah.
Because that seems like quite a jump to make to go from Germany to Sydney, but somehow she makes
it's
it
like worlds apart. You can almost understand why she did.
Yeah, that's true. Get as far away as possible. She didn't have anybody anymore, so.
Yep.
Oh, and yeah, yeah. So okay.
What was that?
I guess we're really we're. There's just so much to talk about. So good. You both liked it. You both. I mean,
I did enjoy it. It was a little more realism than I expected, if you will, but it was still a very well crafted story. I really did. I did enjoy it. You
would recommend it?
I would, but I would make a few caveats to whoever.
Don't read it while you're depressed.
Yeah,
although,
exactly.
I mean, there's so much of it that makes me feel good too, though. I mean, there is a lot about caring for your fellow human and just you
Yeah,
know,
but I don't think we get to that until we're well into the book, right? Because she
Well,
starts off, she
I-
watches her brother die, she goes to live with strangers, she goes to school, is basically abused by other school children because she doesn't read well. And I was like, that was basically the point where I was like, I may have to just set this aside because this is basically just look at all the myriad ways that life is terrible. Look, everyone, it's awful. It's a curse.
yeah, but I
I
think
see your
for
point.
me maybe it's the whole Hans thing for me. You know, I mean, just the love that she felt from him, and what a just for me Hans is the character. He is the book for me, I think. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's because I was so devastated after the first time I read it about him dying that this time everything was about him for me.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's definitely interesting overcoming obstacles in the face of different avenues that those obstacles hit you, or the difficulties that you have to live through and retain your humanity. I mean, there's a lot of different lessons in the story. And it's not all bleak, but it definitely starts out that way, and it definitely
ends that.
But there are
but in the middle.
Yeah, but I mean, there are interesting character studies here. There are, like I said, slice of life, and I found that very interesting. But if you're real sensitive to this type of subject matter, don't read it.
No.
Yeah, or if you're not like mentally in a place where you're going to be okay watching every character who you grow to care about die.
Yeah.
Maybe set this aside further down on your reading list and come back to it later when you're feeling good about things. I don't know when that'll be.
I'm just thankful I'm on an antidepressant. Because
I know, maybe, exactly. Yeah.
Maybe I should have tried that.
2 out of 3 of us are there. So, I mean.
Thank you.
I feel like I'm at a disadvantage then.
Clearly.
That's kind of all I have is booze.
And that's a depressant. So, I mean, you're fucked. All right. Well, we haven't decided on the next book yet. I made a suggestion, but we're still looking.
We're looking.
Dusty said it's time to go.
Puppies are out. Time to go. I got bread to finish.
You got baguettes and shit's happening.
I got stuff going on. I got to marinate some pork butt.
Yep. I've drank a lot of water, so we all know what that means.
Well, thank you all for joining us. We appreciate it. Subscribe.
Yeah.
What the hell? Why not?
Yeah. Read the book if you're in a good mental space.
If you're feeling sassy.
If you're feeling sassy, read the book. But we'll be here again next month. We don't know yet what we're reading, but what the hell? Join us.
It'll be something. Yeah.
Maybe
all right then. Bye.
So long.
Bye.